Hello.
Hey guys.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Hello.
I'm always saying how are you doing. Okay, well, let me pretend that you are the guys. Hey guys.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
You're not going to ask me back because you can't hear me anyways.
What do you mean by I can't hear you? I can't hear
You're
you.
the audience now.
No, they will respond. Don't you know they're responding right now? So they're saying how are you back. So tell them how you are.
I'm fine. I'm good.
Yeah, good. You are fine. That's all.
Yeah.
There's nothing going on in your life right now.
Everything is going on in my life.
Wow, we are grateful to God on your behalf.
Hallelujah. Amen.
Ebun, what's going on?
I don't know. Work majorly, to be very honest. My life has been work based. Do you know?
Your work was supposed to be exciting. This is not what you prayed and wished for.
I mean,
are you not having fun?
It is. I'm happy to be working. I'm happy to be solving world problems, you know.
Yeah.
That's that's what I do when I wake up.
Problems.
I'm solving world problems.
Okay, world problem solver.
Yeah, that's
we are happy to have you. We're happy to have you.
Yeah.
Who knows where the world would be now if you were not here?
You know, yeah.
In fact, we need to give you more kudos than we are doing.
That's exactly, my purpose. You know, when my parents named me Ebun, like the gift of God. You're like,
the gift of God to the world.
Hey! Oh please. I'm like, every day I just wake up, I'm like, God, help me, like help your daughter,
help me be the gift that you want.
Be the gift that you want me to be today. So yeah, I'm good. I'm fine.
I'm glad you're living in your purpose.
I am. I'm looking for my next vacation spot like this. Do you know? Yesterday I actually spent the whole of my evening looking for my next vacation.
You never allow me to say the A I want to say. Did you not just come back from one vacation?
It doesn't matter, my dear.
Please, I thought you said you are solving world problems. Why are you taking time off to solve from solving world problems?
People that solve world problems need time to recuperate. Do you get, like, you need to take care of them
you should be feeling invigorated by the fact that you're solving problems.
When I'm on those vacations? Do you know when I'm on those vacations? Do you know how many ideas that God drops in my heart?
Oh,
like
shit.
You
are lying on the name of the Lord. You are lying on the name of the Lord.
I'm looking for a vacation.
Are you one of those? Okay, obviously this is already a known answer, but are you one of those people that get stressed out while on vacation? Or people get stressed out with like the different things that you have to do, going out morning to night, you come back late, go back morning to night.
So that's the thing. I think my recent vacation has not been the high intensive ones. But I was looking at some of my vlogs today. I think I've done a good job in spacing out activities and actually resting on vacation. Like that's New Orleans trip, for instance. Like we were not like, back to back, we have to do all these things today.
We're very chilled.
Yeah, we're very chilled. So
and I think that came with the fact that we had a lot of time.
Apart from that, like I'm looking at the last few trips I've done in the last few, late last year and early this year. It was more like a 3-day trip and it was chilled. It wasn't.
Is your 3 day like 3 full days, or like did you count travel days?
We traveled maybe like 2 full days.
Okay.
So I wasn't so like, I have to. But those, I mean, anyway, it depends, Sha. It's not like I went to, maybe if I had gone to like Paris or somewhere that I spent money on. maybe that would have gingered me. But these are like just,
Actually, I think when you go for international trips, you use all your blood and all your energy, and you are like, I must squeeze out. Imagine you now come back. You just imagine like you going to Paris now, and then you don't go to the Eiffel Tower. And it's like, did you really go to Paris?
Did you?
If you
apart from that, if it's only Eiffel Tower you went to, all the way from the US to Paris, in fact, my next,
you'll be very angry with yourself.
In my head, I'm not even going to Paris. I can't even go to Paris alone. You are probably planning a Europe tour, a Europe tour. If you are going to anywhere in Europe, like go to like 2-3 cities
at the same time. Yeah, because you can easily, true.
It's
when you have the time again to even do that,
and you can easily move around.
Plane tickets are expensive
in Europe. So
true.
But I'm trying. What I'm trying to do now is
Project 2027
to travel out.
No. I'm saying what was I saying? Project. Which one are we doing for Kini now?
Oh, okay. I don't know. We haven't
decided.
I said that's why I said when we get closer to that time, it's better to decide then, because between now and then, some of us might have even traveled.
Don't go there. Don't go. This is an FYI. This is a PSA.
So if somebody is sponsoring me to go,
let us sponsor you somewhere else. I don't care. Do not go there. We already have project. What is it? Project 2026.
I think so.
Project 2026.
It's 2027 actually.
2024. 2024.
Hey, whoa, Jesus.
People think they're still young.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, 2026 stroke 2027. But seriously, don't go there. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
But yeah, so you're a chilled vacation person. I think I'm the kind of person that stresses out before a vacation.
Oh, really?
Yes, like when the vacation.
Why are you stressing out?
I don't know.
What's making you stress out?
Just the thought of going on the vacation stresses me out.
Oh, really? Why?
You know, I don't think I enjoy. So let me phrase it well. When I'm out, I enjoy being out. But the road to getting to out, I'm very anxious during that period. So just like saying we are going out, let's say it's in the morning by 8 a.m. and we are going out by 6. I get stressed out before we go out.
Really? Why?
Yes. Then when we're not out, I have fun. And I'll be like, oh, I'm just going to be there for like 1 hour. I'll spend 3 hours.
That's the opposite of me.
No,
Me, I'm always, in fact,
out.
when I know
Something before this trip came up, I was stressed up. I was stressed out in my mind. I was like,
why?
I don't know. I really don't know. Even anytime we have an event, anytime I have something to do, I get stressed out. I don't know. I think I say I don't like going out, but when I'm out, I have fun and I enjoy myself.
Too. When I know I have a trip coming up, in fact, I'm so excited. In fact, I'm so happy to work because I'm like, bro, in a week, I'm gone in a week. Like that's literally what comes to my head. So I'm so excited. In fact, I remember there was one day I was when I was like, just suddenly I was like, yes, it's 1 week to my trip. No, trips make me excited. I'm not even going to lie. It makes me excited. It makes me excited.
Don't actually. They don't make. I just don't know where I have I don't know if I actually need to think about it more because when I have things coming up, especially when it has to do with me going out, I get so tense. I'm like, oh God, this thing is coming up. This thing is coming up.
You have to understand what exactly is triggering you.
I don't know. I just know that anytime we have something, I'm like, oh God, I don't want to be out because I think I feel like I like my own space. So when I'm now outside, I always project and think that I'm not going to enjoy being outside. But when I'm now outside, I'm like, okay, this is actually fun. And I don't think about it. And I end up spending more time than I should outside. But yeah, it's something to think about. It's something to think about another time.
I think the only thing I don't like about vacation is packing and unpacking. Unpacking especially.
I think unpacking is worse.
I've seen unpacked, which is very terrible.
We should not be saying that.
I have, but I'm not finished. I mean, honestly, I've tried. Like,
there are people that say that they don't unpack until their next vacation.
No, I will, because I will do so. I will unpack because I need to even clear that room. So, but yeah,
but it takes me a while to. I think I just literally.
Some people are monsters.
I've unpacked.
Some people are
I've unpacked. I just did the laundry for that vacation. They do the laundry that same day.
How will you come back and unpack the same
do laundry?
day?
No, I think when you do laundry that same day, that's when it's crazy.
I've done my not the same day. I think the next day I've done my laundry.
I'm saying, imagine people coming back like. Imagine coming back. First of all, I think what you even need to do when you are going, actually, so that's the thing, you have to be someone that is a good planner. Because if you are going for a trip, you should have already arranged your things maybe like a week in advance. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You have to be a good planner. So that your room is arranged already. Because, if you're arranging the night before, your room will not be scattered. By the time you now come back from your trip, you will now come back and meet a scattered room.
When you are arranging and your room is scattered.
Like when you're putting clothes, maybe you're thinking, oh, I don't want this clothes. You now leave it, whatever.
I feel so this is the way I do it. It's very terrible, but I should try. I always pack the night before a trip or the morning before, depending on when the trip is. But the thing is, I have already packed in my head. So it makes everything so easy for me. So like days before the trip, I've planned day 1, what am I wearing? Day 2, day 3. So when I'm packing, I just put it there. But now the thing is, don't forget to pick like the small things and whatever.
Yeah, I think mine. I don't actually plan what I'm wearing. I just plan what are potential outfits that could work. So like it's not like I'm planning what I'm wearing. Like I will wear this one for day 2 or day 3. But I just know that this is a complete outfit. I will pack it. This is another complete outfit. So let's say we're going on a 5-day trip. I'll pack clothes for 5 days. Then I'll pack like 4 extra clothes just in case there's something that happens to one of those clothes along the way. Then in case maybe some days you need to change twice and things like that. So I think I need to do better with my vacation. Well, the fact that I'm even always anxious before like anything, maybe that's what stops me from being more organized than I could be. But yeah, that's that for that.
Anyway, if you have money and if you need
you are looking for people to sponsor on an all expense paid trip and you just need like 5 pictures.
You just need somebody to even escort you. See, I'm a very good travel buddy. That's the truth.
We don't do escorts here.
I'm a very, very good. We don't do escorts here. My dear, please, if you are looking for somebody to follow you to Paris.
The funny thing, let's mention one thing that happened on our New Orleans trip. We're not able to visit one of the museums that we wanted to visit, the jazz museum, and we had 3 jazz museum tickets, and we gave it out.
That's
so
true.
if you are feeling like moved,
That's true.
and you're
Actually,
like,
some people, you saw that movie Blended. Now 2 people could not go on their vacation. They now send them to South Africa. Actually, true. If you have plane tickets, like a fully booked trip,
all expense, and you're like,
for some reason,
God, you don't
maybe you're
know
not
how you're
even
going to
able
make
to
it, and
do
even your
it.
friends cannot make it, or your friends are flaking on you,
Just
we will be there for you.
That's true. We can do you the favor.
We can do it.
Yeah,
like, book us right now.
We'll lighten
Girls
your body.
versus God.
We'll lighten
at
your body.
gmail.com.
That's true. That makes sense, actually.
So we
That's
are
a very good
available. Don't worry about how we'll take time off work. Don't worry how we'll take time
don't
off
worry
work.
about that.
We will worry about it for ourselves.
You just let me know.
Yeah. And all we can give you pictures. Like, we can give you pictures in the highlight spots and say, we did it for you.
We'll be bringing.
We'll do it
I'll
for
have
you.
a
We'll
whole
do our
vlog.
best for you.
Don't worry.
See, I know you are listening to us right now. Send it to my email. Girlsglassesgod@gmail.com.
Send it to my email. I don't know what I'm talking about today.
Okay, well, in the spirit of that, like, okay, obviously we know that we just finished mental health awareness month, right? And there's this thing about people saying that, life is a roller coaster, it's filled with ups and downs, and most of the times we always celebrate our ups, like, oh, we finished school, I graduated, you got a new job, you got that promotion, whatever. And those are the things you most of the time share with people, your family, your friends, or even social media. But we never really talk about the downs, right? So I think this episode is just wanting to share more. Like, we're just going to get real about some of the lowest points or the lowest periods in our life.
Okay.
So I would say, like, maybe you should share one of the lowest periods in your life and how did you handle it?
Thank you very much for that question.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you very much for that question. Okay, so in the last episode, I told you all I celebrated my birthday, right? It's May 29th to be precise.
Belated happy birthday.
Thank you.
To the both of us.
Oh, true. Well, yours was like almost 2 months before.
I wanted to attach myself. I'm sorry.
Okay. And then, a couple of people ask me, they call me, oh, how was your day? This, da. And I had the same answer for everyone. And that's just because it's just a very genuine answer. And the answer is, it was peaceful. Right. And again, it wasn't because, so we had come back from the trip the day before. So on the day of my vacation, of my birthday, I was chilled. I was inside. I wasn't like outside or anywhere doing party or whatever. And then it was so peaceful, not because I had a chilled or restful day, but because I felt like peace inside of me. And, it was also a day of reflecting. A year before that, I wasn't anywhere near. A year before that, I also didn't go out because I remember we had done the Disney trip before.
Yeah.
Before that time.
I did it a little bit earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. So I also didn't go out. I was like also indoor and everything. It was similar to this, but like there was a lot of things that I was so unsure about. A lot of things that I was praying about, but a lot of things. And now I'm just like, yeah, I have a lot of those things I prayed for, by the way. But obviously I still have some things that I'm praying about. But like that peace was just, I can't even explain it. Like it was just like, how, it's not like you don't have problems with ball. You're just like, oh, God. Yeah. Like God has everything under control.
You take control.
And one of those moments that I also thought about, it was Tunchi's write-up for me on her status that made me
Is it gifted?
think about, no, she said miracle baby.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. And I was like, bro, that just threw me back to what, I think 6 years now. This is June. Oh my God. It was literally, this is June 9. It was literally like this time 6 years ago. I didn't know that in the next few days from now, my life was going to change forever. So 6 years ago, I had an accident and when people see the scar on my head, they're like, what happened to you? And it's so funny when I tell people, no, it was actually an indoor accident. Like, it wasn't car or whatever. Like, imagine, when you go out, like, people will be like, I've gone out. Even before that, I've gone out before and Okadas knocked me on the floor. Nothing happened to me. But I was in the house, long story short, I was in a family friend's house. They just built a house. I was assisting the help girl at that time to she couldn't close the gate. It was this rolling gate and then very heavy gates, by the way. And I was like, oh, don't worry, I will call, because obviously I didn't have the power to help her row, whatever. Like is this gate that you have to literally push on a rail. And then, I just went out, saw two guys that looked heavy. And I'm like, oh, please, we are trying to do this and do that. We're trying to push this gate back to whatever. Unknown to us, the gate had actually left the rail. Like it had already derailed, in quotes. And then I was just there, standing innocently on the other side of the gate. Before we knew it, in the twinkling of an eye, in a second. Even that day was so funny because I remember so well, I was chatting with my phone that day. We were chatting, and I think it was a Tuesday. It was a midweek service at Coda. So I can't remember what we were talking about. We were just chatting. In the twinkling of an eye, bro, I was on the floor. A whole gate just fell on me. And my phone was not broken. Nothing happened to it, but my body was broken. And I was just bleeding. I couldn't stand up. I had to roll out of the gate. Like, in fact, maybe we were looking for guys to even push the gate before. They had to call more guys to literally actually leave the gate up so I could roll out of it. And I remember before then, I just finished NYS, and before then, I had finished NYS. I was looking for a job and stuff. I was also doing my ICANN, and I've always believed myself to be a smart person. So I was applying to like top organizations, like me, no concern me. It was multinationals or nothing, and I was gaining traction. Whatever top company you can think of in Nigeria, SCC, whatever, the Big Four. I had interviews lined up from a lot of these companies. And the week after that I was supposed to travel to Lagos and do interviews, and I was hoping, oh yeah, I'll get a job, big city, big girl, everything. We got to first went to one clinic, and then Nigerian medicine. My father, this doctor was like, no, there's nothing wrong with you, stand up, don't worry. The guy just did like first aid stuff for my head, and because I was gushing out from my head. By the way, the scar stops just before my eye. Like if you see me, the scar stops just before my eye. And then was like, no, don't worry, stand up. The pain will go, bro. My hip was broken at this point. Like I had pelvic fracture, and this guy was telling me to stand up on my 2 feet and try to walk. Like I was pretending not to be able to walk. I couldn't. Like I was in pain. And then, in fact, the owner of the house, when he saw me, he saw the blood, the person ran away and said, hey, Jesus. And I was laughing because I was like, somebody should have recorded this moment. Like, that was what I was thinking about. I was like, somebody should have recorded this moment. Like, why did anybody just pick their phone and, record it? That's what I was thinking about. But my life was going to change forever. And, I didn't think about, what if I had, God forbid, lost my legs at that point? Like, it was later in the night that it now occurred to me that, wait, hold up. What if...
This is a serious issue.
And, they stitched my head. And then I remember the doctor saying, oh, we have to admit her for a while. I said, admit who? I said, I have interview next. People don't hear what I'm saying. I have interview next week. Who are you admitting? Bro, it was a big issue. And then before a long story short, my legs were all tied up. You know how they would put bandage on the whole of your leg and stuff like that. I was up there. Apparently, I was going to be there for like weeks, if not months, and my head and stuff. Anyway, that's it. But I remember in the hospital, gosh, I saw horrible things. Horrible things, and obviously, like all the companies I was applying for that time, that was supposed to be a big break, but it wasn't, and I felt like my life was going to end. I was just there. My friends were moving on, doing stuff in their life. I'm here in the hospital looking at people that had their intestines gushing. Gosh, crazy things are happening, guys.
But just to interject, one thing about what was happening to you during that period is that if people didn't know, they didn't know because you were very active on your WhatsApp. Ebun will be there gisting us about things on WhatsApp, and you'll be thinking, in fact,
that was my most active period on WhatsApp.
I think it's from that period that you started being active on WhatsApp, on your status and everything. I agree. Ebun will be putting hot gist.
I don't have work now. You know the people, and the fortunate thing is my bed had a switch just above my head, so it was uninterrupted.
Okay,
light. So I remember somebody was looking at me. One of them was like, this is getting to tire you. I said, no, they tire me. If you're in my position, you will not understand. But I think when you are, for someone like me, I always move around. Like, if you know me, I'm always doing something. Even when I don't have anything to do, I'm always doing something. So being tied together for God knows when, that you don't even know. That's the thing. Like, I didn't even know when I was going to be released. It was a horrible situation of my life. Like, it's like you can't do anything.
And you were far away from family as well.
I was far away from family. And before that, so my mom had told me when I was done with NYC that Ebun, she categorically told me, said, pack all your bags and come home. You're not staying. I was like, if you have met me, you know that sometimes I have to
thank God you said it. I was about to complete the sentence.
And I was like, okay, I've heard you. I went to that was the funny thing, because it was after my birthday I came back. I went to Ibadan, but I didn't pack anything. So I told my parents, well, I have to go back and pack my things. But unknown to them, already applying to jobs in Abuja. I'm like, and then a few weeks after that this didn't happen. So it was this same mother that had to come and stay with me. When my mother entered into this thing, first of all, she couldn't, like, she was speechless. Like, again, if you saw me during this time, you know how people used to beat their wives and their eyes would be swollen. Thought that I wanted to play a prank with my friends, and I said that it was one boy that beat me up, but that didn't work. And then she didn't know whether to cry, but she was like, "This is not the girl that I love." Like, it's like, this is not the girl. But we had a great time, Sha. We had a very fun, because at the end of the day, she couldn't cry, because even me, the way I was acting, sometimes she just looked at me, she's like,
this girl's not serious.
She's like, this girl. I remember there was one time, God forgive me, there was a pastor that came to pray for us. So you know how people go for one that they pray. So this man was now praying for me, not spitting on my head. I was telling my mother that, can you please tell him to leave the back? Move to them, are you serious? You're like,
you know, even when you called me, Sefe, like, I think the first time, I didn't even believe it the first time you called me.
Yeah.
It was until you sent me a picture, and I was like, I think I started shaking, because I actually remember where I was. I was going to go and meet my HOP, my op. That man, that annoying man. He was talking about money. Next thing I knew, he would send me a message, and I was like, Then she now sent me the picture. I think it was the picture of that your face that you sent to me. I was like, hey, God. And he was like, no, I'm okay. I was like, okay. You don't look okay, but we thank God, because now you are very fine.
I am. But I feel like it's again, sometimes again, I have coconut, right? And I think that every time God tells me that you don't have control of your life, because something similar, not an accident, maybe happened last year. And it was just, again, at that point, trust me, I had everything planned out. Like, I was so sure that there was nothing you could tell me. I was so sure I was getting a job at a multinational company. I was so sure I was going to be earning money at my, like, and again, if you are very close to me and I tell you my life ambition, you might not believe it, but trust me, a lot of time God has given me that grace, and it happens. So sometimes I feel like, if you want to do it, and sometimes I have the zeal, except I don't want to do it. If I have the zeal to go for it, but I feel like God was just telling me calm down, because the truth is I could have died from that story. So we can go on about lessons learned and things like that, but you can share your own story too.
I feel like that you shared your story. I have to share more. I was going to mention a different one now, but you've gone heavy. But I think one thing that is very funny is that when you mentioned the date now, it just reminded me that I also had a similar thing happen, and I'm like, people cuckoo uses that we used to follow each other.
That's true.
Immediately after yours happened, the next year, in that same June, same June, the same thing happened to me.
Yeah.
And I think mine was just a case of, I don't even know what it was a case of, honestly, because at that point in time, I was fighting with my boss. And I think what was the background on it? I think one person lied against me. My boss did not believe, and obviously I was a very young worker. And you expect things to go your way. You expect justice, quote unquote, to prevail. And people were like saying bad things behind my back, and I felt like, with the relationship I had with my boss, I felt like, because I don't know, maybe because I feel like I have integrity, I felt like other people should also understand that I have integrity. So when he didn't, and I was like, that means you're not even really a person of integrity. So something like that, I showed that I was beefing him. And as if you're a Nigerian working, trust me, you can't beef your boss, because in a way you won't move forward. So, and I think even apart from the physical or job aspect of not moving forward, I think I also didn't have peace, because I'm not somebody to keep malice. I'm not somebody to keep like, I'm not talking to you, whatever. But it was very obvious that you that will come and you will, because my boss was a very friendly person. He was a very down-to-earth person and everything. So if somebody is fighting him, you will know. And I'm not even the kind of person to fight somebody. So I think that day I just resolved within myself that because I was working then at the international airport. So my boss used to sit at the domestic airport. So I'd resolved that I would leave a little bit earlier than I usually do. So, and he always comes early so that I could go and meet him, talk to him, and just like let everything just be clear. And then I would go to work. And that day, I left the house like just as usual, entered the downfall and everything. And, you know, the downfall, only God knows what happened to that bus, because I can't honestly tell you what happened to the bus. And the thing, according to witness reports, the thing somersaulted and rolled. And I remember just in my mind, you know, when I was telling, you know, my siblings or whoever it is that I told the stories at that time, I remember thinking that I was actually going to die. And I remember that, you know, when you watch all these movies and you see like, or you hear, you know, all these old Nollywood stories of, oh, when somebody wants to die, you now be saying, God, forgive me for my sins. It's a lie. You won't think about all those things. I remember I just kept on telling God, thank you. Which is very funny to me now, because sometimes when I'm like, God, we are far away from each other, I'm like, even at that moment, I knew that, see, I'm okay. And I kept on telling God, thank you, because what else will you say at that point? But you know, at the point that everything happened and somebody rescued me out of the destruction of the wreck or whatever, yeah. And then when I was working, I had a uniform. It was like a white shirt, your skirt. Then I used to wear like a gray sweater on it so that my white shirt doesn't get dirty. And I remember when they pulled me out and I could not feel my left hand. And to me, I thought my hand was gone. And I was okay with it. You know, when you're like, I survived. Even if it's just hand that went, it doesn't matter. That kind of thing. And I was asking people, I was like, what happened to my hand? Because I don't know if it was a shock, maybe the adrenaline or whatever, but I just knew that I could not turn and look down. Maybe because I was afraid of seeing like maybe myself bleeding or something. I just could not look and see my hand. So I could not see the hand, in all honesty. Like, and the people also tell me, because just imagine, okay, there was an accident that just happened over there, and see somebody here looking like there was nothing wrong with me outwardly. Like I looked just like somebody that was going to work. And the woman was like, what's wrong with you? She thought, she was like, because it didn't make any sense. And she was like, were you part of the people in that accident? I was not the man. She said, oh, come and sit down, come and sit down, come and sit down. I can say that God used people to help me, because the two things were involved, right? So as they told me to sit down, they shifted me away from the wreckage. And mind you, I didn't look like I had been in an accident. So while they were trying to still help me figure out myself and everything, there was a bus that came, like an ambulance, that came to pack people to the general hospital. And if you know anything about Nigerian General Hospital, when things like this happen, they do first aid. They just do it anyhow. So the first testimony is the fact that they didn't pack me in that bus. So when, you know, along the lines, they were trying to help me. So somebody had brought out like 3 bags from, everything was intact. I think the only thing I lost was my glasses. Every single thing was intact. The guy was holding like 3 bags, and I was like, oh, that's my bag, that's my bag. My phone was inside my bag. So, you know, normally when you're in the bus, you'll be pressing your phone. I don't know how I didn't lose it. I think right before the accident, I put my phones inside my bag. So I don't know how. So my phone was intact. My bag was intact. Everything was intact. So they called, you know, my sisters were going to be on the way. They now said that they need to take me to the hospital. They now helped me. Those women, those market women, they helped me cross through the BRT lane to the other side. They put me on a bike. It was at the moment when I got on that bike, I started feeling that my hand was paining me. So at that point, I had like a fracture from my hand. So like it was completely broken. And you know, by the time I was now, like I sat down on the bike, my hand was hanging. And I had to tell them that, oh, help me carry my hand and put it on my lap so that I won't feel the pain. It was as we were going to a hospital that I now started crying. Like, you know, that like everything had worn off. And I started crying, and I was just like, oh, thank you, Jesus. So the bike man too was not telling me that, no, sister, don't cry. That God has saved you. He was like, he said, don't like wail and like, so why did it happen to me? Just be saying, thank you, God. And you get. So I was just like, oh, thank you, God. Thank you. So I went to the hospital. So meanwhile, they had already called my sisters. My sisters were on the way. You will not believe that between the time they came from my house and where I had that accident from my house was like, let's say 10 minutes, 10 minutes. They said by the time they got there, everything had been cleared.
Wow.
So it doesn't even look like anything happened. By the time they now got to the hospital and everything, it was like a private clinic. So they had already admitted one person. They now admitted me. So the good news about it was that person, that's the owner of that private clinic, he was an orthopedic surgeon. So he already knew the right things to do with my hand and everything. So when we now realized that, they had carried some people to the general hospital, he told me that the first aid they do for them is that they cut off their hand. I was like, because in that situation, you don't know who is who, you don't know, and they're trying to They said, and I was just like, okay. Another testimony that now came into it is that, and obviously my parents don't stay in Lagos, but my aunt stays in Lagos. So when they had called my parents, my mom had already called her sister that go and check Omo-Olorun was involved in an accident. So my aunt was already shouting that, hey, you know, that kind of thing. So it was her husband that brought her. By the time he now came to the hospital, now guess what? My uncle and the owner of that hospital, they know each other.
Wow.
So it was a thing of, because how exactly did the bike man know to take me to that hospital?
Yeah.
It was a thing of everything just aligning and everything. So I think at that period, what was my main problem was like, I had like low mobility. Like I think by the next day, my dad and my mom were already in Lagos. By the day after that, I had come, like they had carried me back to Ado. And I remember that it wasn't even until when I got to Ado that when I started realizing that it wasn't even just my hand that had problems. I had cracked ribs. So when I lied down like this, I could not stand up. You know, it was a lot of different things. But I was not like, and we watched Grey's Anatomy lab together. You know those times when you see that, oh, somebody is involved in an accident and there is no scrap on the person. It's not be later reviewed in the episode that the person had internal bleeding. I was like, God, thank you, because a lot of things that could have gone wrong did not go wrong. And again, and also because even at that moment, I kind of knew that anything that wants to happen, I was going to be fine. Because imagine if I didn't have that, what's it called now? That heart to reconcile with that man, even before, like that was my main reason for leaving. That I'm going to see this man today, blah blah, so that I will be at peace. So now imagine, God forbid, like if somebody had actually died that day, like, and you had been keeping malice or whatever with somebody, like that's how things would just end for somebody's life. So you know, and you know, it's at things like this that you'll be like, oh God, I will serve you more. Thank you. It's a lie.
Crazy period, man. I think it was Toby. It was Toby that actually messaged me and said, oh, Omo-Olorun has been in an accident. And I laughed. I said, you are joking. I said, but don't be joking with things like this again, because you don't know what can happen when you do this. She's like, no, I'm actually serious. I'm like, okay, send pictures. She now sent a picture of when they put the cast on your hand. I was like,
yeah, I don't know that bit. That picture.
I was like, wait, what? Like, is it actually real?
When I called Tiana laughed. She was like, why are you joking? Like that's because you don't expect it to happen to anybody you know. I think that's just the truth.
It's crazy, man. I was like, why are you joking? Like, I was like, no. I was like, I was still laughing. I was like, we can't joke. Do you know? Okay, I think because Toby has also never messaged me before that time. So I was like, so wait, even if you now want to let's say you now want to message me, it's not this one that you're now messaging me about. Say, why are you joking? But anyway, it's nice to meet you.
The funny thing before that was that the day before, so I was working in the bank obviously, and we had different protocols for like keep handling keys and everything. For my branch, they were going to give me the vault key. But that one of my bad belly, that person that caused the first issue going, it was like, no, what if something happened to her tomorrow and she does not bring it? He said something like that. He was saying, so that was basically why they didn't give me the key. So the only thing I was holding was one small places key. So, you know, at the end of the day, the funny thing was that the next day was now Democracy Day, June 12th. That my boss that was not going to go and now stick him. So I was just like, see, this life is a very simple, funny.
That's the thing.
It's a thing that in the blink of an eye, anything can change. Anything can happen. Absolutely. Like at that morning, who would have ever thought? And because of that, for a very long time, in fact, I'll still say for a very long time, even up until very recently, I was afraid of being in cars.
Yeah.
So like, and this is something that has happened close to 5 years ago now. So
yeah,
at the blink of an eye, anything can change and anything can happen.
That's life, man. That's life.
Even another point again that I think about, even before we go to some of the lessons learned and things like that, I think what I was going to share before was going to be like a period of time. This one was even more work related. I think at that point I was getting, I think when I look back at that period of time, I would say that I was actually very depressed. But at that time I could not identify the fact that I was depressed. What was happening? I felt like I was stuck in my job. And you know, just like how you were saying that, oh, you're a very smart person, you know, you kind of know when you are capable of more than what you are currently doing. And I knew I was capable of more than what I was currently doing. And not to compare your life to somebody else's life, but you know, you just feel like I can be doing more, or I should be more, or I can be doing better. And I just felt very stuck. And every time I tried to move forward, things were always just coming together to bring me back down. I remember during that period, I told you about one of my boss, like this one is even like a regional kind of manager that met me one day and she just hated me. And I'm like, how will you just meet me for the first time and give me one crazy disciplinary action for saying I didn't smile at the customer or I didn't greet the customer? I'm like, You don't do that. And the funny was that my boss was not telling me I needed to apologize to her. That was the thing that sparked. Things were just happening. I remember that day I called my brother, and I think anytime I tell him, he doesn't remember. And I was telling him I'm quitting my job when my birthday comes. So I think maybe this happened around like maybe February time. My birthday was in April, and I was like, whether I have a job or not, I'm going to quit my job. I said I would rather be jobless than continue. Like, you know, when you're talking with so much, I was talking to him, I was like, I would rather be jobless, blah, 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 blah. I don't know what my brother told me. I still don't know what he said. Until now, he still doesn't remember that he told me anything. He just told me, and I just became calm, and he was like, I think something he said was like, oh, I shouldn't quit until I have, he just said something like, oh, just think about it, or something. And I just decided that, okay, I was not going to quit. That was supposed to be my birthday gift to myself. Like, I was supposed to quit my job and be like, happy birthday to me. But you know, I didn't.
Because I know Gen Z. If you're Gen Z like me,
I would have quit that job.
You just quit and you just be
like,
like,
Gen Z like you.
Yeah. If you're Gen Z like me, like you just write a letter and say, boy, bye.
Write a letter, you just walk out.
No, you send a WhatsApp message, say, boy,
that's
bye.
That's why I know that I'm really not Gen Z, because
see you in the future.
I feel like I haven't quitted. I feel like I'm very loyal. And this one, I was never loyal at this point, because I was like frustrated, I was angry, I was tired. And again, the funny thing was now that I was now trying to make like a pivot into something else. Then I was really interested in tech, and tech was coming up, and my organization was trying to build like an in-house tech team. And I worked, I sweated, I did everything I could, and I got in.
I remember.
And they now told me, sorry, you are doing too good at your job, we can't leave you. I'm like, excuse you. Yeah. So, you know, it just seemed like a lot. And again, I was applying to schools, and I think I got admission, but I didn't get funding, something like that. So, you know, it was suddenly looking like, at that point, what's happening in my life?
Yeah.
Why am I not moving forward I want to move forward in A is not going. I want to move forward in B is not going. And, you know, if we are moving to like lessons learned, I think one thing God taught me during that period, or one thing I learned during that period, is that when something is not for you, that's why you need to be very sensitive to God. And you need to be very sensitive to the Holy Spirit. And you need to be sensitive to what He wants you to do part time. Because at that period of time, when things were not moving, things were so hard. And when something is your own, for me personally, in my own life, it comes very easy. Like, it's something that you'll be like, 1, 2, 3, it's done. But I kept on, you know, when you're trying to like push a rock up a hill, like I kept trying to push and force my way, but it was not just going. It was not time. I don't think it was the will of God for me. It was not, everything was not just aligning. I don't think I was even praying. I don't think I was seeking the face of God. Nothing. I was just like, I'm frustrated. I'm tired of this. I don't want to do this. Blah, 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 blah. And the funny thing was that what I needed was time, because it was just a matter of time I needed for what I wanted to click. But I think in that period of time, it was the things that I learned in that short period of time that helped me to go to where I wanted to go, to the next level. So I think like at that point, God was like, you are not ready. Like, it's not like you're not good enough, but like you still need a lot more learning to go through. You still need to go through a lot more things before you can get to the level that you want to get to. Right. So, you know, I think just listening to the voice of God, like allowing Him to speak to you and following what He says, because sometimes we are very stubborn as human beings. So what are some things you learned during that season of your life?
What did I learn? I think majorly, just like I said, it's sometimes when God is telling me to take a step back. And I think now, again, the more you walk with God, the more you understand how He speaks to you, how you relate with Him. Again, something similar happened to me last year. Again, I didn't have an accident or whatever, but I knew that it was just a point that God was trying to make, that take a step back. You can't plan your life. If I have control over everything that happens to me, then I don't need God, which is the highest level of pride that any man can attain. So it was more like, at the end of the day, you need God, because the way everything played out was just very funny. I was supposed to stay in the hospital longer than I did. When I started using crutches, someone told me, I have to use crutches for, I think they said 6 months or something very ridiculous.
You didn't use it for very long.
That's like 1 or 2 weeks. Because I remember Oganare came to Nigeria at that time, and we went out. I think Ogafemi, Kemi, 4 of us, we went out, and I was supposed to use my crutches, but I didn't want to look like the girl using crutches outside. So we went to one of their friends' place first, and I dumped Ebun I dumped my crutches there. And then I walked on hip that was just barely healing. You know, but that was just me. And I remember when the doctor was saying you have to use this, I'm like, nah, you're not talking to me. But boy, like, good health is underrated. Like, the fact that you have complete legs. The first time I walked after I had that cast removed, I could not walk. Like, I literally, my legs forgot how to walk. Like, I would stand up and I have to sit back down. So it took me a while to actually relearn how to walk again. Like, it was so crazy. And I'll also talk about how I got through that season. I think, again, you were like, oh, Ebun was very jovial and everything. But I think one thing I realized, and one thing I kept telling myself, was the plan of God. Like, for me to be alive, the plan of God towards me is of good and not of evil, to bring an expected end. I knew that there was no way the expected end to this was greatness. Like, sometimes I like to hide myself. I'm like, the devil thought he had me, but oh God, I'm coming. So that's why there was no pity party. Again, if I didn't tell you, a lot of people didn't know at that time what happened. If I didn't tell you what happened to me, you will not know half of it. And that was just because I just had that, you know how you just have that conviction that people would just see me in the world, they'd be like, is this girl sick? Apart from, well, the fact that they actually tied my legs up. So that was the only factual thing. But like, apart from that, you wouldn't see.
You see it in your face or your demeanor.
And I remember I always play the songs. This was when this song, you mean all that to me. You have been so kind to me. All the overwhelming reckless love. That's the song. And then I would play so much that before I left, everybody in the world knew that song. And they would always we will now all play it and they would sing it. Like, no, that song was my, how do I put it?
Like an anchor.
Yeah. Because I was like, you have no clue how much love God actually does have for me. And I'm like, this is just a phase. And yeah, I got the big job I was looking for eventually. God had to connect me to, a smaller job. And I was there for like a year or so, over a year, where I had to learn a number of things before actually moving to the big. And when the big job came, was with ease. I had offers, right? So, it was just a phase. And I think that's what we all need to realize, that some of these things I face, and you just need to ask yourself, God, what are you trying to tell me? Yeah. And the last part of it would be people. And the thing is, no matter how much people say, oh, I don't need friends, I don't need people.
It's not possible, man.
You need people. Like, that was when I actually realized that you need people. There were a couple of people that I called at that time, and I expected that they would have done better than they did. And I think that just kind of made me, how do I put it? Made me be like, oh, okay, maybe this person is not as close as this person. They're very, very, very few people like that. But there were people that also are
showed
like,
up for you.
If this person is doing anything, I will show up. I remember Kenny, I've mentioned her on this channel, but shout out to you. Kenny brought a whole family member, and I didn't know her from any damn where before NYSC. I met her in NYSC. She brought her family. I remember they brought a lot of things, and then she would come to the hospital. She would stay, she would go, and then she was always just like, are you okay? And again, obviously, we will come and we'll chat, we'll laugh, so. And then people that were, always also checking. My mom came around. We had a great time. She made friends with everybody in the hospital for some reason that I don't know.
Your mom is giving my dad's vibes.
And then my mother would go out and say, Ebun, let me tell you something. When you're going out, be speaking Yoruba more. Because if you speak, this is what she'll not tell me. If you want people to actually, be giving you, when they know that you're Yoruba and they're also Yoruba, don't worry. So they'll do it for you. I'm like, is that what you're telling all this people? And my mom is the kind of person that she comes from Ekiti, but the thing is, you won't know. Because if you are Ijesha, she'll speak Ijesha to you. If you are like wherever, so when you meet her, the first thing she will ask you is, where are you from? So that would now determine how she will relate with you. So that way she will not relate with everybody. People will be like, wait, where exactly are you from? So she's that kind of person. And yeah, we had a great time. She very amazing, because she slept under my bunk on the floor throughout. I told her to go and stay in my house. When she got to my house, I said, this your house is on the hill. I can't stay there. So she was like literally in your house.
Were you ever in my? No, I was never there, but I remember the struggle in that your house.
My dear. So she was like, me, I'm never going to your house again. No. So she slept on the floor throughout. You know, she was there. You know, just people generally. That was when I met you spoke to one of my. That was the first time. Not the first time I'm ever meeting him, but that was the first time I actually consciously met him. And this is somebody that
last time you met him, was he when you were a baby or what?
Maybe something like that. Like, you know how family friends, kiniko, but as kids,
you never
really pay attention.
Best man.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like he came into the ward. Like when he heard, he came into the ward, and then he passed, because I didn't really know him. He passed me. He went back, and then he now asked, "So who is this person?" He now came back, and I was like, "Oh, this is you, so person." And since then, we've always just had and we never really had a relationship before then. I remember Oganari, that was when Oganari, he came back to Nigeria at that time. And then I remember he bought me fruits. I remember it was grapes. And then he came, you know, a couple of times, and it was after I was discharged that we also went out together. Ogafemi, shout out to him. PFM, amazing person.
From your fellowship or what? I don't think I know.
Is Kemi's school. I just developed to Ogafemi because they always all called him that name. So though I don't know, he was in OAU with Kemi and Paul. But anyway, I remember because so we were also not close before then, and so Kemi had told him Ogafemi. So Kemi had told him, and he was also in Abuja, but we had never really had a conversation before then. But Kemi told him, my girl is sick, please help me go. And then so he now came the first time, and we had a very, very good conversation. So he kept coming again, and it wasn't like it was convenient for him because he was working full time and stuff. But every time, I'm going to yab you a little bit if you ever listen to this podcast. He was buying me peak milk, but I don't think he realized that the milk was for 3 to 6 years old.
Can you not still drink it?
It is funny. Like it's not the same. So it's milk for babies, but I don't think he ever read So I think big milk used to have like milk for different ages. So I think it was like from 1 to 3 years something. The milk they said so funny. I would now laugh and say, "Can picture that? This your Oga? You know they read." But we're not so close at that time, so I couldn't tell him. But obviously now, if it was now, I told that uncle, this big that you're buying, you know. And I mean, it was so generous because he would buy me like a whole big can of not even sachet, like a
big
can of milk.
What did you do with it?
I think I gave people in the hospital that had babies. So I was just telling that. But again, I didn't also want it to look like that person. You're buying me something, and then. But
no, like, please don't bring this kind of thing here.
No, but amazing. Honestly, he was, and I think that was how we started talking. That was how we actually formed the relationship. And at that time, he was telling me that I used to see you, but you're very proud. Like you were somebody that you cannot. And I'm like, well, not that you have spoken to me. Do I look like that same person to you?
And why does this thing used to follow us?
I don't know. It's because people make an assumption of you. But if you see, I'm the sweetest person that you can ever meet. Just have a conversation with me.
If just one conversation. I am a sweeter person than you. Ebun is wicked. No, it's not wicked. But Ebun is hard. Me, I'm not hard. Ebun is not good. We need to go and re-examine ourselves. Because
that's why when people meet us, now they are stuck forever because they're like, these are gems. They're like, I can't let you go. Like, I've been missing out all my life.
Say you used to help yourself before. Thank God you already gave a disclaimer. But honestly, the gift of people, and I think again, another thing that is amazing is how people show. Because I remember then when that happened, I think we just moved to that area. I think we were just attending a new church, and the youth people in this church, they were calling me. It was not me that attended the church. It was Dami that attended the church. I think I just followed that one day. They called me. They were praying for me. I was in Ado that time, and obviously we didn't have people in Adelaide, just immediate family in Ado. So everybody that we knew was like obviously outside the country and the rest. People called me. Like I remember that I think at that time I was also being I wasn't really telling anybody where I was. I was just like, well, let me just stay in my house and everything. And I think it was Ogochukwu that I called. So I think one random ass day, it was Kachi and Efe, they called me. So I think, and in my head, I'm like, these people don't know yet. So I was going to pretend as if everything was fine. Kachi just started with, why did you not tell us that? The first year we finished before, I just started telling them that, I don't know. I don't even know the reason why I was not really, I was just like, oh, let me just be in my house. Let me be praying to my God. Let me be healing. Let me be, and everything. But the gift of men actually, like good people. You always meet good people. So I think, we talked about your support system because honestly, It's all because in situations like that, really, you can't really help yourself. See your situation now where you were in Abuja, your family was in Ibadan. Like, if not for the fact that your parents had a good reputation and you knew people as well, and you're also a good person to people wouldn't have shown up for you like that.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll just they'd be like, who is this girl?
Yeah.
Where is this guy? In actual fact, like the name on my report wasn't my name because the family I was staying with, they just used their surname and they just used my name. So it was so funny. So you won't see my surname there. I think it was later that they now rectified or something. So
I can't even imagine how the family that you were staying with was feeling that. Like
they felt terrible because I mean it was at the and again this is not anybody's fault. So that's why you will not hear me refer to this person. You couldn't have known that kind of a thing. So. But yeah, it was just a moment, and the reason why we are sharing this is because it's not because we love to share stories. Again, I feel like I don't even share my downtime at all. Like Omo-Olorun said, if I didn't tell you at that time, you would never know. And that's
even up until when your scar had healed. You know, there was a particular person that asked me, I think it was the day I posted your picture. I think then the scar was still very pronounced.
Yeah.
So I think I posted your picture. I think it was when you did that photo shoot for Tunchi.
Yeah.
So I think I posted your picture and somebody messaged me and was like, when did Ebu get this kind of face? And I was like, Ebu has always had this kind of face. She was like, Omo-Olorun, to stop playing with me. I was like, Ebu has always had this kind of like I was there arguing and person was like, hey, I never noticed. I was like, ew. But yeah,
I had to do surgery on my head about 3 times. It was crazy. It was just, and every time I go to the hospital, the doctor will be like, and you are still walking your life, because they've also had similar situations like that, and people just always end up on the wheelchair. But yeah, it was just crazy period. You know, I had to what's it called? Is it excision? I had to exercise.
At the time that you were using one cream like that now,
nothing. In fact, this head is a miracle. I remember the first time it happened, they did the suture and whatever, and then keloid started forming and it started getting bigger. You know, and people ask me this all the time when I had this scar on my face. Did it make you feel? It didn't make me feel lesser. It didn't make me feel any type of way. But I knew. So my own is, if I know that I can be better with something, just like the way people use skincare, right? You can't say, does pimples make you? Obviously, you want your pimple to clear out. So it wasn't even a matter of, was it a self-confidence thing? No. It's like, if I can be better, then I'll do it. And I went to the hospital again, booked surgery, had an excision happen. And
were you under anesthesia? Or it was just your face?
I was under anesthesia for the second one, and then obviously when you wake up, you feel everything comes back to your head, so you feel heaviness. Like if you tap my head like this at that point, I was gone. It was so heavy and painful. And then at that time I thought, that was it and stuff. But unfortunately, killer started coming back all over again. And then I remember I was in Lagos and I had HMO. I was like, let me actually see like it was a, what they call it, people that do not a plastic surgeon,
dermatologist.
I think it was a dermatologist I saw. The person was a specialist. In actual fact, he had already worked years either in the UK or in America. I was so fortunate and blessed to have found that man. Amazing. Unfortunately, I can't even remember the name of the hospital. I can't remember the name of the doctor. But I started getting treatment, and they would give me live injection in my head without anesthesia or whatever, and then they would inject. Oh God, it was one of the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life. Normally I don't even like injections. Now imagine people injecting something on your head that was not even healed yet. I think I did that a couple of times, and thankfully,
remember they gave you one thing like that.
Very, very powerful stuff. And then thank God it's down now. A lot of times I even forget, but I think this car is this Oyekon song that says the number of my scars and the number of my victory. I always remember that every time. Praise so that's why anytime I see my scars, I'm like, my praise cannot be the same as yours, because you have not seen what my head has seen. So, and that's why, when you're literally when you're going through tough times, remember the times that you have gone through tougher times and how God saved you from those. So that's always my conversation, that if God can save you from death, literally, then he has a purpose for you, and this other thing is just a phase. So
when God has saved you from death, like, is it now things that are not even physical, like you're struggling with like your job or job frustrations, or it seems like your life is not moving forward, at least you have life, rather than your life is not moving forward. And I think one thing you just mentioned, from like you finding that doctor, is just about, you know, time. And, you know, I think we prayed a prayer in church today about time and season. And you know, that thing might have just been a situation of, if you had gone there on a different day, you might have met a different person, or you might have not even met a specialist or whatever. So it's just, imagine you had been going for different like surgeries and the rest, and it wasn't fixing the issue, but you met just the right person at the right time that could give you the right treatment that will make everything fine. So we've gotten very real on this episode, Ebun. So what would you say is your daily dose of EO for today?
I think I just mentioned it. Life is in phases. I remember recently I was having a conversation with someone about Hallelujah Challenge and how, you know, a lot of people just say ridiculous things like, oh, so people are still going for things like this. Why are people so, you know, like there was one time they said, oh, dress like a miracle. People are making jest of people that were wearing. And I'm like, see, you've never passed through things in life. Things in life that would make you say, I don't care what
anybody
shame
else
looks like.
I'm
going for this. So it's like life is in phases. There was a time when we were looking for a job. There was a time we were looking for admission. You know, you will pray for admission and then get admission. You now like praying to pass. School. You pray to finish school. Then after when you are done, then you are praying to get a job. When you get a job, now it's you and your boss. Now you're praying to get a better job. Then you want to get married. You get married. You want to have children. Till you die. Even grandparents are praying for their children and their grandchildren. So it's like it never ends. The only consolation we have is, you know, God says, you know, cheer up because I have overcome the world. You know, he was saying it's not like you won't see it. It's like you will see troubles, but cheer up because I've overcome the world. And then he will be with you in all of those times. So when you are passing through seemingly crazy things, you know, sometimes we forget the million things that God has done for us in the past, and then we just focus on that one thing that we're not able to do. I think that's the time for you to reflect and say, thank God. Like there's this everybody that say, because it's like just you've done that before. Like you've done that like times and times again. So this time cannot be any different. So that's always my consolation when I'm passing through things. And I'm like, see, you literally saved me from death. So any other thing that is there's a purpose for this.
You pass through it too. I think one thing I was also thinking about, I don't know if these things, because I've been using huge version for a very long time. And you know, when you are doing like the, what they call that thing, daily refresh, you know, there's a particular point to get to that to be showing you your prayers, your previous prayers. So I think there was a period of time, because now I prefer to write down my prayers on my book. So I think when I used to use daily refresh that time, I used to write some prayers in the app. And the thing just brought me to one of those prayers. And it was like, you know, the moment you're praying about something, like maybe this is like maybe 3 years ago now or 4 years ago. And I started trying to think back on what was I feeling in that moment that I wrote this prayer. And like the prayer, like I prayed the prayer and God answered the prayer. And I'd even forgotten that I had such a problem before. So, you know, I was just thinking about it recently, and I was just like, I actually need to like have a dedicated prayer journal where I'm like, oh God, I'm praying about this. And when things happen, I also write it down, so that, because it's very easy. We human beings, we are very fickle. Like you right now, you're playing and you're saying, oh God, I need that job, blah, 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 blah. 4 months in, 5 months in, 6 months, you're like, oh God, I'm sick of this job, blah, 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 capitalism, blah, 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 blah. And I think it's very easy for us to forget that we are actually living in answered prayers, right? So I think that was one thing that I actually wanted to push myself to do, that don't just be scattered, because I have different books that I use for journaling, that I use for this. Sometimes I use and I'm like, I want to actually have a dedicated prayer book to say, okay, God, you have done. And it's even just a thing of, because sometimes you just need to thank God. Because sometimes you might just be living your life and you're like, sometimes you might be very unsatisfied. Now, why are you unsatisfied, really? You're just looking out and you're looking into the world. Now, you've forgotten the many things that God has done. Or maybe, you know, you're waiting on God for a particular prayer, or you're waiting on God for a particular thing, and suddenly it seems like, oh, God is slow to speak or whatever. And you've forgotten all the times that God has helped you. So, you know, we can be very fickle as human beings. And I think my own daily dose would just be that. Be very thankful. I think we should also like take a step back and like think about the things God has done for you. I think I would also like encourage everybody to have like a diary, a journal or something, because that's like my next step now for myself. Ebun, just say, what's your next step? What's your next one step?
So next one step.
My next one step for myself in my whole like Bible study / prayer / journal left / relationship with God is having a dedicated prayer journal where I'm saying, God, this is what I want and this is what I'm thankful to you for, because I feel like it will also help you to reflect and go back and say that, oh, I'm in this situation now, but I can look back and say in January, this was happening to me. I prayed to you and you answered me. I had this burden on my heart and you eased it for me. So, just basically that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was literally, again, I should do this more. I do it every year, like maybe at the beginning of the year or at the beginning of my birthday. I just write something, and then maybe the year after, it's just like, this is literally what I do. Like this is testimony time right here, and these are my prayer points. So I try to write stuff and then come back and say, I should be more consistent with that anyway, but I'm not a journal person normally. Maybe I should do that more, but yeah, I like to write out my prayer points, even for my friends and stuff, and then come back next year and I'm like, ooh, let's look back at the prayers that we prayed and jot down and the stuff. And that's why, again, I always make reference to when God was telling the Israelites that write it on the scroll, make it plain. And that's just because so that when your children and people ask you, oh, why are you this, why are you like, you're like, no, God saved me, God did this for me. I was telling someone that when I eventually have my own house, I want to have a prayer room where we put sticky notes of testimonies of things that God has done. We'll put prayer points, and then when God answers, I also want to teach my children how to be thankful, how to actually track
That's a good
prayers and how to be thankful. So I was like, oh, my vision was we'll have a very big board
where you
and
can
then
write
we'll now write our prayer points, and then we'll now put sticky notes on it for answered prayers. So when as my kids grow up, they come to that place and they look at all the things that God has done for me. They're like, oh, God did this for me. I remember that time. And then they're also able to stand on their own and say, oh, this is what God has done.
That's amazing. Thank you, Ebun, for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, thank you too.
Thank you for sharing your story with us. I know this is not something that comes easy. Most times sharing about quote unquote periods of lows in your life is never always the easiest thing, especially when there might still be some side effects that you're still trying to walk through and things like that. But we thank God for growth. We thank God for his grace. We thank God for even saving our lives. We thank God because really we thank God for saving our lives, honestly.
Been God.
So, and I think it's just an encouragement for everybody that whatever situation you are going through, right? Look to God. That's really the honest and the only thing that we can tell you. A lot of people will be like, oh, I need practical solution. Look to God. God is your practical solution.
Yeah.
God is your any kind of solution that you need. Look to God. I think the topic in church today was God is more than able. So God is more than able. Whatever it is that you're thinking, whatever it is that you're not thinking, sometimes you underestimate God. That's just the truth. And sometimes we overestimate our problems.
Yeah.
So God is more than able. I think I will end my own daily dose on that. That God is more than able to help you, to take you out of that situation.
Yeah. Absolutely.
To give you that thing that you're even desiring, or to give you that patience to even wait for the expected time, because sometimes it's just not the right time for you to move, or you are even going in the wrong direction and God is telling you chill, wait. So this has been
fun.
This has been fun. This has been real. This has been
it's been
a lot of learnings.
And if you have stories to share, you can do it. You can even reply. I think you can reply on the podcast itself. If you have stories to share, you can send an email, send a DM, whatever. Just encourage somebody out there,
Yeah.
It's your stories go a long way. So, but I think we've come to the end of this podcast. Thank you so much for staying with us. Thank you so much for riding this far. Yeah. Follow us on
all our social media.
If you're listening, it's so funny because analytics show that more people listen on Apple Podcasts more, but we have more followers on Spotify, which is very funny. So if you are one of those people that listen on Apple Podcasts and you don't follow us, please follow us. If you also listen on Spotify, please do.
Then we're also on YouTube right now.
On YouTube, whatever also platform that you're on, social media, we are there. Send us an email, to just write anything that you want to. So, but we see you in the next episode. Bye.